Letter 7. Again, this is I, the Christ, who has come to you through a letter to whomever can receive my words. The following parable is as applicable to your modern era as it was to the times of the Jews 2001 years ago. I commend its truth to you who reads these letters. A sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground, where they had not much soil, and immediately they sprang up, since they had no depth of soil, but when the sun rose, they were scorched and withered away. Other seeds fell upon thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil, and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Hear then the meaning of the parable of the sower. I am the life, the truth, and the way. When anyone hears the message regarding the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one, the selfhood, snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is what was sown along the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is he who hears the message and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while, and when tribulation or persecutions come on account of the message, immediately he falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is he who hears the message, but the cares of the world and the delight in riches choke the message, and it bears no fruit. As for what was sown on good soil, this is he who hears and receives the message and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and yields in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and another 30-fold. Matthew 3:3. Paragraph. My purpose in sharing this knowledge of the truth of being with you in these letters is to enable you to grow in spiritual love and wisdom and bring forth the fruits and blessings of such spiritual love and wisdom in your every moment of evolving consciousness. I look for you to be richly joyful. Therefore, let us, together, plow into your human soil of consciousness, turn it over, get rid of the stones of despair, break down the clods of non-comprehension with deepening wisdom, pull out the weeds of your negative mental, emotional patterns with my help, fertilize your soil of consciousness with ever-increasing faith. Then sow ever more beautiful seeds born of your evolving spiritual perceptions and unconditional love. My joy will be your joy in this endeavor, and your joy will be added to my joy. In this unity of purpose and achievement, you will eventually feel that you are indeed of my spirit, and my spirit is being poured into you. In this way, we will experience the oneness of that out of which we have both taken our individuality. My thoughts will become your thoughts, untainted by your former ego consciousness. End of the paragraph. I have described the process, the path along which you will travel to achieve your most sublime and perfect heart's desires. And so I say to you, although this letter may be difficult to accept at first, and will require time and effort to fully understand, it is a strong link between your consciousness and mine. In my transcendent state, I can do more for you when you call upon me than I could if I were to return to earth in a physical body, when you might see me with your eyes and hear me with your ears, but your understanding of truth of being might be limited. In this mode of contact with your consciousness, you can receive me direct into your mind and heart when the preconditions to such contact have been fulfilled. For I tell you truly, the more time and meditation you devote to these letters, the more will it become possible for you to receive higher inspiration and instruction from me, personally, because with every reading of these letters, the more will your own frequencies of consciousness be raised toward my spiritual consciousness frequencies, and eventually we will be able to reach a true meeting place of consciousness. Then, abundant will be the fruitage in your life. To explain why this is so, I must tell you that my consciousness descends through many differing planes of vibrational frequencies of consciousness to meet the needs of those seeking help and inspiration. The many differing planes of consciousness my consciousness passes through are all distinct from each other. Each level of consciousness frequencies creates and manifests as different conditions of existence, since the highest and lowest vibrational frequencies of consciousness are produced by the highest or lowest spiritual, mental, emotional patterns or forms of consciousness. By high and low patterns, I mean those which are closest and further from divine consciousness intent. As you know, each frequency of vibration of sound waves produces its own unique and individual note and tone. Similarly, habitual mental, emotional thought forms produce their own vibrational frequencies in consciousness, and these in turn produce the outer conditions in which that consciousness resides. The higher the frequencies of vibration of consciousness, the more beautiful, harmonious, joyous, and fulfilled are the lives of those who reside within those frequencies. The lower the frequencies, the more harsh, bitter, acrid, and miserable are the lives of those who resonate to such frequencies. Their lives are punctuated with disasters, deprivation, and brutality. The higher the frequency of vibration of consciousness, the more spiritually loving and beautiful are the thoughts, the creative imagination, the ideals and beauty of color and life forms, for they are rising closer and closer to the dimension of universal consciousness, where the frequencies have become so heightened as to level out and enter into powerful equilibrium, the all-power of universal consciousness, the source of all being, love. To you, the outer conditions may appear to be those in which the body resides, but the truth is, it is the consciousness which dwells within, experiences and responds to the outer conditions. The body is but a vehicle, making the human consciousness visible to others, and the condition of the vehicle itself is a manifestation of the level of spiritual, mental, emotional consciousness which inhabits it. Therefore, as I said before, as an observer of individual need and in response to pleas for help, my consciousness descends through the various levels of existential consciousness to reach the sincere suppliant. For, to give the answers, I must first receive the need. And as I said on the second page, these letters are a link, a means of your communication with my consciousness to enable you to be spiritually drawn to and made receptive and then deeply understand and use all the knowledge I wish to share with you to bring you up the ladder of spiritual consciousness to its ultimate heights of the Christ consciousness. Because I am in near perfect equilibrium myself, I have the spiritual power of universal consciousness to a near perfect degree. I am imbued with the nature of universal consciousness. Therefore, my entire consciousness, irrespective of other people's thoughts and words, belief or non-belief, love or hatred, acceptance or rejection of me, remains that of pure unconditional love. It never falters or changes. My attitudes are consistently those of pure love, caring, and compassion, which I experience as a profound yearning to uplift, heal, and prosper. Therefore, it is perfectly possible for some people, if sufficiently sensitive to consciousness vibrational frequencies, to become aware of my presence, or love, or extra life force, when they are in a state of conscious yearning, seeking, praying to know me better, or evolve spiritually. As I speak of the lower frequencies of consciousness which cause trouble on earth, you will be aware of my wholly compassionate acceptance of them, for these are but a manifestation of people's painful struggles and suffering while trying to find their way towards the light of their source of being. I am coming to people, not to condemn them, but to uplift and strengthen them. I radiate my Christ consciousness towards you by receiving and holding your name and spiritual form in my mind when you appeal to me for assistance, and according to your receptivity and freedom from magnetic bonding rejection impulses, a little of the divine nature of being is absorbed by your present consciousness vibrational frequencies, which then experience a strong sense of upliftment. Therefore, it should be clear to you that as you unload your earthly consciousness of its emotional bondage by mentally, emotionally, rejecting the patterns of emotional thought you perceive to be out of harmony with divine love, so will you become more and more aware of higher inspiration invading your mind, even your solar plexus, giving you guidance in times of need when you are unable to perceive the right course of action or unable to clear yourself of emotional ego thinking when reacting to a troublesome situation. With my help, you can live in two dimensions, that of the physical world in which your body resides, bringing you your experiences, and that of the higher standpoint of Christ consciousness, which will enable you to transcend the ego thinking and radiate thoughts and feelings into your situation from that state of being I termed the kingdom of heaven. I am not alone in this work. There are innumerable more highly transcendent, spiritual, beautiful, lovingly intelligent souls possessing entrance to the dimension of Christ consciousness, working with me to help people. Although we are in the dimension of Christ consciousness, we are all individuals. We are not replicas of each other. We all express the Christ consciousness in differing glorious ways, the emphasis of our activities placed on differing facets of creativity. We have powerful imaginations and are able to create and bring into visible individual form within our own dimension those things which are way beyond your present comprehension. You will hear that all over the world people are receiving inspiration and are aware of the Christ presence. My inspiration, radiated to the world at this time, is received by different natures and different minds. Due to their prior mental conditioning, the inspiration will lead each person along a different path. The message I am able to insert into their consciousness will wear differing faces. In some cases, the messages will be grossly distorted by the recipient, who is psychically receptive but possesses an orthodox mind which clings to the beaten religious tracks of yesteryears. Any message will be interpreted according to the beliefs already in control. Any message received which might contradict accepted beliefs will be hurriedly pushed out of mind and authorship attributed to Satan. For this reason, it has been possible only to reach the mind which is open and eager for truth rather than traditional teaching. You can be certain, however, that my personal message will always awaken people to the urgent need to move away from the restricting and erroneous tenets of all dogma and institutionalized religion. The message will open up channels of consciousness leading to the growth of spiritual awareness. It will be leading people into ever higher and higher dimensions of celestial thought as opposed to earthly and materialistic concepts. It will impart a more vivid appreciation of the true nature of your source of being and the universe in which you presently live. I prophesied, when on earth, that the time would come when I would return as lightning flashes from east to west across the sky. This was a graphic description of the way in which I am presently working. Perhaps after the foregoing paragraph, you will accept the lightning has struck worldwide in such a form as to reach those who are eagerly hoping for my return. My truth is intended to uplift and illumine the minds of those who are seeking to awaken people to the many causes of misery and future destruction of the planet. Countless old souls are acting selflessly in hundreds of different ways to alleviate the suffering of people in need, devoting all their energies, time, earthly status to the promotion of love for nature, animals, and their well-being and protection, and the future health of the planet itself. Although these lovely souls may not be aware of it, none of these concerns arose out of earthly human thought exclusively geared toward selfish needs, but from the dimension of Christ consciousness, where all living things are seen to be an expression of the love, intelligence of the source of all being. In this letter, I want to explain clearly that I have come through the medium of these words to assist receptive people in all stratum of society, laborer to general, clerk to president, to work entirely from the standpoint of love. There are spiritual, scientific, materialistic reasons why it is absolutely imperative that people should devote all their mental and emotional energies and sensitivities to bringing their actions and reactions into perfect alignment and harmony with unconditional love, divine consciousness. To remain within the worldwide state of consciousness as it exists at this moment is to remain on the steady downward slide into countless diseases, misfortunes, upheavals, and deepest suffering. Men and women can live in two dimensions of existence in your world, either exclusively from the level of ego impulses, which are controlling forces behind and within all the daily phenomena which comprise the human daily experience, or mentally, emotionally poised within divine consciousness while their bodies are still living on the earthly plane. The fruits of the ego consciousness are discords, disruptions, climactic upheavals and abnormalities, wars, addictions of every kind, poverty, diseases, murder, robbery, lying, cheating, slandering, backbiting, low, miserable thoughts, envious thoughts, angry thoughts, bad humors, judgmentalism, criticism, sarcasm, rejection of other people, etc. These consciousness frequencies are forever bringing forth mirror reflections of the circumstances and feeling reactions which gave them birth, and are continually subject to the highs and lows of fulfillment, of expectations and disappointments, swinging between happiness and misery. Those who, through prayer, meditation, self-discipline, and determination, manage to purify their consciousness of ego and lift it by defining and entertaining ever more sincerely loving thoughts towards other individuals and the world generally, gradually ascend in consciousness to the vibratory frequencies of the realm of divine consciousness, the kingdom of heaven, where they live comfortably and at ease in harmony with the universal laws of existence. Such people find that no matter what may be the troubles and uproar in the world around them, they are nourished, healed, protected, cared for, and maintained in perfect peace of mind, providing they remain within the spiritual frequencies of vibration. When they allow themselves to be drawn down into selfish disputes and any negative human condition involving any of the attributes of ego, the peace abruptly disappears, and they find themselves trapped in the consciousness frequencies of vibration which are fed by similar consciousness frequencies of other people in their environment. They are like a fly caught in a spider's web, and the ensuing battle to extricate thoughts from the lower frequencies of consciousness vibration can be exhausting and painful. At such times, constant meditation and prayer, a plea for help, strength, and guidance in achieving the right emotional attitudes are the only means by which a spiritual traveler can find his way back from the entrapping lowered energy fields to a state of harmony with the heavenly consciousness frequencies of vibration. You may think that the foregoing is too difficult to understand and not necessary in your search for spiritual upliftment. On the contrary, this understanding of the nature of your consciousness is highly important. If you should find yourself descending into lowered consciousness frequencies of vibration and experiencing the conflict between what you are feeling at the moment and what you know you ought to be feeling or would like to be feeling, you will experience more control if you realize you are suffering because you have allowed your normal spiritual consciousness vibrations of frequencies to drop. Pinpoint the reason and take it to divine consciousness for a resolution of the inner conflict. In time, guidance as to the correct attitudes and affirmations to clear the problem will be given to you swiftly in response to your prayer. Furthermore, as you lift your level of consciousness frequencies, you will find that you are inwardly strengthened in spirit and life force, and the opposite occurs when you find yourself entrapped in lower consciousness vibrations, either through a personal descent into lower thought frequencies or by being emotionally drawn into them through communication with a negative or egotistic personality. When this happens, you will experience a loss of energy, This loss of energy results in a depletion of physical energy in your body cells. Therefore, when deliberately setting out on a spiritual journey, you should visualize yourself as being like a traveler boarding a train bound for the destination of your choice. If, when traveling, you leap out of the window on glimpsing verdant valleys or exciting cities offering pleasures of some sort, and go wandering into highways and byways far removed from the journey you had originally undertaken, you will find it very difficult to resume that original journey. First of all, you will have to go through a cleansing of the lower consciousness energies you absorbed during your jaunts into the other areas of interest. This may take a long time, and you may have to go through other painful experiences to enable you to go through the necessary cleansing of your consciousness again. Everything you do in life, you are either moving forward spiritually or moving into areas of consciousness detrimental to your search and long-term journey towards higher levels of spiritual consciousness. You never escape the processes of consciousness, nor from the inexorable working of the laws of existence. You cannot put your life on hold as you dodge off to have a little fling, which you think won't matter since no one will know. Whatever you do is an action in consciousness, and whatever it is, promotional of your well-being or contrary to your highest good, will have its repercussions of a like nature. Everything in your life is related to some other activity in consciousness. Nothing is isolated from everything else. People think that what they do today is in a compartment. They think that today becomes yesterday and is past. It can have no bearing on their today. But unfortunately for them, they will find it cropping up in their experience as reaping time in 6 months, a year, even 10 years ahead. When the consciousness energies have attracted what is necessary to bring about their visible manifestation, then people wonder, why did this happen to me? Why me? You must understand that when you embark on a spiritual journey, you have set foot to a path which will lift your consciousness vibrations to higher levels. Carelessness and inconsistency will lead you into a condition of swinging between levels of vibratory frequencies. These times of inconsistency are fraught with emotional pain. As you swing, the original momentum of spiritual energy which previously lifted your spiritual vision dies away, and eventually you complain it is hard to get back to prayer and meditation. It is difficult to make contact with divine consciousness that you were able to make before you went off on some pleasurable jaunt which led to a dropping of your consciousness frequencies. In this way, by giving in to overpowering impulses, you make life difficult for yourself. You walk a more rocky path. At the same time, the impulses within your consciousness indicate that certain areas of your human consciousness need refining. These impulses become the necessary means to teach you some important lesson. In fact, no one can move on to the narrow path leading to the kingdom of heaven and remain there without divergence or deviation until they have thoroughly experienced the fruits of their hidden impulses. By fully experiencing all they have to offer, people eventually arrive at a clear understanding that they were false enticements, not worth the pain and tremendous effort involved in getting back on the spiritual path again. Only when the deeply ingrained impulses have been indulged and the results imprinted in the consciousness can a deliberate mental and emotional choice be made to live life on a higher spiritual level. When this final decision is made decisively and positively, the former impulses are then erased from the consciousness. But I have to tell you that when you do make the choice to live your life on a higher spiritual level, you have not necessarily come to the end of your problems. In ignorance of what is real and false in higher spirituality, you may find yourself attracted to different cults which will lead you further into a wilderness without ending. I, the Christ, have come through the medium of these letters to show you how to choose the highest goals in your human existence and your true final destination on your earthly train journey. In your spiritual quests, you are like people being presented with many beautifully colored travel brochures depicting the pleasures and luxuries of various exotic holiday resorts where you can relax and renew your strength. One spiritual teacher holds up the enticement of a journey leading to a specific goal, the resolution of some mental, emotional problem, while another teacher offers another goal and another path to follow. Each of these spiritual teachers are offering alleviation of some kind of human pain and suffering, which they themselves have experienced in the past and overcome. Each one has eventually found relief in their own unique way. There is no doubt that they all have some valuable message of one kind or another to share with people who are bewildered by the problems of living and do not know which way to turn for help and comfort in their difficult existence. But I have come to you from the highest vantage point of spiritual universal existence, through the medium of a mind carefully cleansed and impregnated with spiritual life and dedicated to the work, to carry this message to people who are ready to receive it. I have come to you to show you who you really are in the deepest recesses of your individuality, and who and what you can become. Just as importantly, I have come to show you the means by which the transition from the human consciousness to the higher realms of spiritual consciousness may be achieved. When I was on earth, I said, I am the truth, the way, and the life. And so I was, and am. In these letters, I am giving you the truth. I am showing you the way to achieve the abundant life. It is weakening to the soul to need another agent as a spiritual crutch. Therefore, to depend even on myself must be recognized as a temporary measure. For this reason, I am making every effort through my recorder to enable you to realize that your true support, mainstay, source of life and being are drawn directly from the all-powerful dimension of universal consciousness in equilibrium. I have come to you, you who are reading this letter, to help you find life more abundant and what I termed when on earth, the kingdom of heaven. What does this statement mean in human terms? What did I mean when I said life more abundant? It is easier for me to describe my meaning to yourselves in 2001 than it was to spell it out clearly to the people in AD 1. But I know that for many people whose inner spiritual perceptions have not yet been opened, what I am about to say will be deemed fantastical. Therefore, to help you understand, I must remind you and ask you to fully realize that you are not bodies possessing consciousness. You are divine consciousness individualized into separate consciousness beings and made visible on your earth by means of electrical particles drawn and bonded together into elements to give you visible living form according to a fundamental physical pattern. To understand the truth of existence and the origins of your physicality, you must make daily efforts to rid yourself of the limited earthly perception that the body receives its beingness and is conceived and developed entirely and only according to unchangeable physical scientific laws. In place of your old, limited human beliefs, you must make daily efforts to develop a strong, clear realization that your personal reality, your soul, is drawn directly from all reality, source of being. Your physical body also draws life from all reality at the moment of conception, but it is also tempered by the initial plane of consciousness vibrational frequencies out of which your body was conceived. It is constricted and encapsulated ever more strongly as the years pass by the magnetic emotional bonding rejection impulses which control the human consciousness. What do I mean by that? What I am going to tell you has enormous implications for the future of mankind. That is, if those of you who are capable of doing so will make every effort to understand it. In fact, the way you view these letters will determine the course of your future lives. They will mean to you the difference between remaining stuck in your present parameter of consciousness vibrational frequencies or gradually moving forward yourself to higher levels of consciousness and producing children who will benefit from the exercise of the knowledge I am about to give you. When I was on earth, I made this oft-repeated but never understood statement. What is born of the flesh is flesh, and of the spirit, spirit. I meant that some people have a natural spiritual ability to return to the original frequency of spiritual emotional consciousness in which they were conceived, and in later years can be reborn, take on new spiritual mental awareness in the same spiritual frequency of vibration of conception, and thereafter live and evolve and work from it. The original frequency of spiritual emotional consciousness of conception will become the platform for the child's spiritual journey. Those conceived only of fleshly, lustful desires find it difficult to perceive any truth beyond the evidence of their ears, eyes, touch, and smell. If you doubt the foregoing, pause and reflect on the undeviating principle of existence. All creation is consciousness made visible. Every living thing only thinks and acts out of that level of spiritual or ego consciousness in which they reside. Before conception takes place, the sperm is imbued with the total consciousness of the male, the future father, and the ovum is imbued with the total consciousness of the female, the future mother. During intercourse, changes take place in the mental emotional consciousness of the man and woman. They may sense a deepening of love, caring, and drive to express their longing for greater closeness and harmony of spirit. This is a true spiritual physical union. Alternatively, as their desire for union within each other grows to an ever stronger desire for self-satisfaction, this becomes an ego activity, reaping only ego reactions. However, whatever the condition of consciousness of the participants in the act of union, their consciousness of desire to achieve the ultimate climax strives and drives the physical organs to move in a rhythm, producing psychic, physical energy which gradually rises up into the brain, creating a higher and higher momentum of vibrational energy to reach a peak of near delirium and delight, bursting into an explosion of momentary ecstasy and glorious fulfillment, and then follows release and a gradual descent into human consciousness again. At that very moment of delirium delight, the human consciousness rises to touch the divine life force, which ignites the sperm in the male and the ovum in the woman. Conception may not take place, and both sperm and ovum return to normal physical consciousness. When conception takes place, sperm penetrates the ovum, and they are united in their highest vibrations of divine life, in spiritual and physical fusion. In united consciousness, they too ascend into their own moment of equilibrium and joy, to become one with both divine life itself and human father-mother consciousness. This moment of consciousness union takes place within the very highest dimension of divine life consciousness, and is a moment of unimaginable rejoicing and joy, for the two elements of male and female are again conjoined, united, and merged in equilibrium to become one to produce a child. This moment of union is a reenactment of a person's return to the glorious and ineffable ecstasy of the divine consciousness of universal equilibrium. When intercourse is prompted by pure, heartfelt love between man and woman, the united human consciousness ascends during intercourse into higher and higher levels of consciousness vibrational frequencies until they are caught up in the vibrational frequencies of divine intelligence, love consciousness. Such a child, conceived in such circumstances, is born of spirit. Lovers know when they truly love and come to each other in pure tenderness and love, because such intercourse is a moment of union of mind, emotions, and body, and lingers in their consciousness afterwards, making it difficult for them to draw apart from each other. They are aware of transcendent beauty, a renewal of emotional love instead of satiation, and an all-encompassing harmony. These men and women are joined by divine consciousness. Sadly, their personal ego consciousness can eventually taint the love they felt for each other and gradually largely replace it, leaving them separated and alone, sad and emotionally and physically weakened, wondering why such a beautiful, exalted state of love could ever dwindle and die. These letters can be the means of their overcoming the ego drive and rediscovering their previous love on an even higher and more spiritual level, in which case man and woman will become more whole than ever before. This may or may not bring them together in a new sexual attraction transcending all other, depending on their state of consciousness, whether it has itself transcended the desire for physical fusion. Physical union, undertaken in any other emotion, leads to a condition of flesh entering flesh, and is but a receiving and giving of earthly, frequently negative, vibrational frequencies producing like-minded progeny of such a union. Even if a child is not conceived, such intercourse is detrimental to both partners, since there is an exchange and absorption of each other's consciousness energy into the body, which, if negative, hostile, or critical, can be damaging to one another. Remember that consciousness energy is compounded of father intelligence and mother love electromagnetism. The energy exchange between sexual partners is of the same energy out of which the mental electrical and emotional magnetic fields of the body are formed. All is consciousness. Therefore, when consciousness energies within body fluids and mental emotional attitudes and thoughts are exchanged and absorbed, you are each of you affecting the mental, emotional, physical condition of the partner. Intercourse should, to be healthy and life-giving, only undertaken in true heartfelt love, where the good of the loved one is more important than the good of the lover. It should never be used to heal emotional rifts or wounds. Intercourse may be a joyous act undertaken after a difference of opinion and anger, where there has been sincere mutual forgiveness and a full restoration of and renewed love for each other, but never to cover the hurts and effect a false sense of emotional receptivity in the other partner. No doubt such intercourse will give them a temporary sense of well-being and transient goodwill, since their consciousness energies will have been lifted into higher vibrational frequencies, but this is a temporary alleviation of their personal consciousness only. When partners go to each other still bearing a hidden resentment or critical denigrating thoughts about the other, those negative consciousness forms are transmitted into the electromagnetic fields of the partner and create a sense of inner disturbance of which the partner is not fully aware. Nevertheless, the relationship is being gradually eroded without either partner being fully aware that this is happening. This is the reason why the physical attraction between partners dwindles and dies. It is destroyed by hidden negative critical thoughts and feelings, which little by little affect each other profoundly on every level of their being. As their frequencies of vibration drop, they will find themselves being drawn into the thoughts and feelings which previously drove them into arguments with other people, and consequently the problems will be repeated day after day. When people use sex as a panacea, it becomes a frustration and disillusionment sets in, leading to a loss of respect and love for each other. Therefore, it is essential for people to realize that fights and quarrels arise out of their own hidden ego consciousness drives, which gain control of their loving feelings, and the ego drives must be healed before couples can reach a new level of mutual understanding, consideration, and consistent love for each other. Not only this, but the condition of consciousness of each partner eventually affects their environment, living conditions, and success or lack of it in their daily lives. It also affects the children, creating a family of mutual cooperation and healthy mental, emotional patterns, or the dysfunctional family, where no member is in true sympathy or acceptance by the other. You may say that the successful or dysfunctional family conditions arise purely from their innate characters and the way they perform in their daily roles. It is perfectly true that the family life is a product of character and performance, but I want you to consider the dysfunctional family which breaks up, the partnership and sexual cohabitation ends, parents move away from each other, and move on to entirely new lives because they have managed to disentangle themselves from the unhealthy or critical consciousness they were absorbing during the sexual act. If strong enough to do so, each partner discovers a new self, builds a new environment, and goes on to new success. However, those partners who live truly in love with each other, considering each other's needs together, giving and taking in equal balance, offering emotional support when needed, or loving counsel, not advice, when this is asked for, will find that the family is glued together by the absorption of each other's dynamic consciousness energies. In the light of the previous paragraphs, it may now be understood that prior to intercourse there should never be a sense of grievance, buried hostility, contempt, denigration. Any such feelings must be fully resolved before sex is resumed. In a relationship where discussion and freedom of speech is accepted as normal, each partner should resist the act of sexual love until a powerful interforce of responsive love has been built up, and the consciousness of both partners is in a state of pure equilibrium. As for rape, this is the most heinous act against another and will draw to itself its own just rewards at some time in the future. It proceeds out of an especially warped and distorted ego consciousness. The frequencies of consciousness vibrations of such people are so low and ponderous as to be personally destructive. In olden days, society was continually taught and sermonized. In Western countries, the Ten Commandments were rightly presented as being the true foundations of a civilized and humanized culture, teaching self-control and readily acceptable to all religions worldwide. Today, with the strengthening of the ego consciousness due to the influence of the entertainment industry and media, ego lusts have control. You must also understand and accept that consciousness energies are energies as real and active as are the energies of heat and sound. Just as sound waves can penetrate certain substances, so do the consciousness energies of one person infect like a virus the consciousness energies of another mind with their own brutal tendencies. These energies may not be expressed in exactly the same way as the rapist, but rest assured that transmitted consciousness energies do implant a new idea or a new feeling within an innocent party. Your scientists are not prepared to believe in telepathy, but telepathy is a fact of life. Although dull conscious activities may be so self-oriented as to not recognize that new impulses have originated in someone else's mind. I will say no more on this subject except to warn those in high places of church, law, and government who fail in their responsibilities toward people at this critical time. They will eventually perceive the enormity of their lack of moral performance while undertaking their earthly duties. They will feel the imprint of the lives of those who have been harmed and destroyed due to their moral negligence rebound upon their own lives. Every action has its like repercussions. Perhaps you will now realize why the present sexual trend in the world is causing the most dire conditions worldwide. For you to fully understand what I am talking about, I want you to strive to visualize and realize that the nature of divine consciousness of universal equilibrium is limitless power, since the equilibrium, harmony, arises out of equal constraint between the universal impulses of the male and female, intelligence and love, the will to experience and the will to remain acquiescent, the yearning to be active and the yearning to hold back and maintain the status quo, in order to form bonds and stability. These primal impulses of being, as I explained in Letter 4, are the reality which has given life, form, shape, being to all visible things. This dimension is a state of beauty, joy, harmony, rapturous ecstasy, reverence, intelligence, love. It is all that the earth can demonstrate, but on a scale beyond your even remotest conception. Try to take into your consciousness the meaning of the two foregoing paragraphs. Understanding and making the meaning your very own will change your whole perspective of your divine origins and of existence itself. In these paragraphs directly above, I have described to you the nature and essence of life, which comes into action within the sperm and ovum when they are united in giving form to a child. This is your truth, your reality, your soul, psyche, your deepest state of being. Instinctively, you are aware of this. The baby is the embodiment of joy. The joy it expresses as it develops consciousness of its relationships and environment comes out of the deep well of divine life which has grown it cell by cell according to genetic instructions into its present form. What is the difference between the soul and psyche? I am now going to explain the difference which your earthly psychologists may dispute, but nonetheless, this is the truth. The soul is the divine flame, a metaphor used to describe the essence of divine life, which is drawn into individual being at the moment of conception. Life force takes on personal form and releases the energy of electrical force of activity and the magnetic impulses of bonding rejection to embark on the intricate work of construction of the body. Therefore, you have at the core of your being, your soul, divine reality. This is divine intelligence, divine love, which is the powerful divine impulse to create, grow, nourish, nurture, heal, protect, fulfill every need within a system of perfect law and order. This is the reality which is your soul. Therefore, when you have overcome the ego impulses and invited the soul to hold dominion in your thoughts and feelings, you will be driven to express all of the divine impulses described above. You will be possessed by a desire to only promote the highest good of all living things and the universe itself. You will become a true messenger from divine consciousness, expressing all its qualities of being. Until that time of soul reunification with divine consciousness, the psyche occupies the deepest recesses of your human consciousness and draws its awareness from your soul. It is the hidden instinct within you which knows right from wrong. The ego is also formed at the moment of conception. As the baby develops, the ego begins to make itself felt. It is the foundation of your human selfhood, which gives you individuality. It is the energy of your human consciousness. It makes you distinct and unique from everyone else. In order to preserve your individuality, the ego must protect you from outside attack of any kind, and it must give you what you need to help you prosper, flourish, grow, and be happy. This is divinely ordained and not to be treated with contempt. The ego constitutes an all-important and very necessary nucleus of consciousness of creation, development, and growth. The ego is exclusively governed by the electrical current of activity consciousness, the go-go impulse apparent in all living things, even in plants which turn and display their foliage to catch the sun in the best possible way. This is a movement conceived in the go-go electrical field and in the bonding desire emotional field in the consciousness of the plant to enable the plant to grow and enjoy the warmth of the sun. The ego in every living thing is the seat of the earthly consciousness only. In no way does it resemble in any shape or form the divine reality which constitutes the soul. The ego drive, the drive which is directed exclusively at getting what it wants to make the individual entity happy and to protect it from attack to ensure its survival, and will trample on other entities or species to achieve its purpose, pertains to the earthly dimension only. This ego force is active within every living thing from the least amoeba to the mightiest king. You could call the ego drive the protector and dictator of the living universe. It is at this point that the majority of people in your world today become confused when contemplating the possibility of the existence of a God. They review the activities of various species driven by their ego consciousness, the one feeding on another to obtain sustenance, and these people decide that this savagery must be the working of the Creator. How then can the Creator be a God of love? This is one of the misapprehensions and beliefs I would like to sweep away. It is my purpose that all people should come to realize that the entire universe has at its basic core and foundation in all things the divine life force which inspires and respires through all creation. It is the hidden but powerful equilibrium out of which all things have taken being, form, and shape. It is the scientist's space in which is conducted the movement and bonding of the electrical particles. It is both the impenetrable and forever unknowable ground of existence and also the hidden source of all substance, of all things in the universe. The ego is the tool of divine creativity to produce individuality out of the unity of its own beingness. What I am about to say will be hotly disputed by your scientists. Nonetheless, I am about to refer to the souls of those earthly beings whose intellect is sufficiently evolved to debate and decide on a course of action and, with even only partial understanding, respond intuitively and intelligently to what is happening in the environment. These entities of all more advanced species are the genius of their kind. Do not judge the inner development of any species, human or otherwise, by their outer physical bodies. All living things are individualized out of the same divine life. Some psyches are enabled by their increasingly spiritualized mental, emotional fields to peer through the ego consciousness and embark on neighborly, caring acts which can only proceed from the promptings of the soul drawn from the divine reality. Therefore, the greatest respect and consideration should be accorded to all living things. Where the species has evolved to the point of formulating clear ideas and thoughts and putting them into sounds and words, and the spiritual development of the psyche can penetrate the ego consciousness, the psyche begins to question, is this all there is to life? What are our life purposes? Etc. When this happens, the soul is beginning to impress the psyche with an urgent need to reach out to its source of being, which it instinctively knows does exist and is its true home and resting place. The soul's hidden but continual longing to be reunited with its source of being can now be felt by the psyche. If there are people who never reach this vital development in their lives, it is because their ego, mental, emotional processes are so strongly geared to the exercise of intelligence and reason that when other people ask questions such as, how did life begin? Is there a God? How has such a wonderful universe been designed and created? The ego of the non-seeker and non-believer is conscious only of its own omnipotence and sets out to disprove there is any higher dimension out of which the earth could have taken form. It argues away the voice of the soul relayed through the psyche, and with each argument entombs itself more firmly within the perceptions of the material and visible world which represent their only security. Therefore, the soul remains imprisoned within the ego, mental, emotional, electrical, magnetic chains, and the human mind remains convinced that there is no soul, that the earthly dimension of existence and the physical life force are the only realities. If such people's minds are determined to reject any inspirational whispers from the psyche or soul, The body suffers minor ailments, relationships are strained, and life generally is stressful. A disease may follow. This is because such a person is drawing only on the limited resources of energy drawn from the food they put in their mouths. This energy proceeds from a chemical process and not from the source of all life. While you have drawn your life initially from the divine reality, and it has given you being, you also draw your physical energy from your food and the digestive processes, which manufacture enzymes to break down the food into a usable form, which feeds the physical cells throughout your body and mind. This is the life of the body. Many people live and die drawing exclusively on the energy derived from their physical processes. The type and amount of energy drawn from physical processes is greatly affected by the mental, electrical, and emotional magnetic fields of the living entity. These electrical and magnetic fields surrounding every living thing from an amoeba to an elephant and human being are the personal life force radiations from the soul combined with the personal consciousness awareness radiation of the entity's mental, electrical, go-go activity and its emotional, magnetic, bonding rejection impulses. These electrical magnetic fields are profoundly affected by all the thoughts and feelings which pass through the minds and emotions of the entity. In turn, the fields profoundly affect the physical process of the body itself. They raise or lower the health of the body according to the state of the personal consciousness, whether it is in harmony with the life force radiations of divine intelligence, love, or in conflict with them due to selfish ego drives. A miserable entity dwindles and dies. A happy entity flourishes. This is a basic fact of existence. In the final analysis, each living entity feeds upon its own inner state of contentment or frustration. You can see the truth of this statement in the physical and consciousness development of a baby. A contented, happy child flourishes, laughs easily, is filled with joy. Contact with a loving mother enhances the child's well-being. The loving, contented radiations from mother to baby feed the little one's consciousness radiations and in turn build up strength in the tiny body. As the child develops, its developing personality begins to color its soul radiations with bright or dark consciousness force, which either reinforces the child's health or depletes it. A person with a strong psychic sense can see the electromagnetic fields becoming dim when an individual or animal is being depleted of field energy, although at the time neither individual nor animal may be registering physical dis-ease. It may be a day or so before the body itself begins to manifest the consciousness energy depletion in some form of exhaustion or illness. You have on Earth people who have developed equipment to record this phenomenon, and in years to come, this will be the recognized method of diagnosing and treating an oncoming ailment. Furthermore, as this technology of spiritual scientific knowledge evolves, the exact mental emotional state responsible for the physical depletion will be first revealed under hypnosis and recorded electronically in frequencies of vibration on screens. This will be followed by an electronic investigation depicting the frequencies of vibration of the various parts of the body on similar screens. This process will involve color changes, for every pattern of consciousness is first manifested both in frequencies of vibration and color. By comparing the mental emotional frequencies of vibration with the frequencies of vibration of the body parts, the organ depleted of energy, together with the mental emotional cause, will be pinpointed. No longer will psychiatrists delve into past experiences, probing, pigeonholing, and producing pronouncements as to the likely origins or causes of mental, emotional, physical disorders, and then providing human rationalizations with which to combat them. The truth of the spiritual state of the inner man will be clearly revealed and will lay sure the foundation for the necessary spiritual instruction and meditative mental work to be done to enable him to regain health, vitality, new perspectives and goals, and a deepening capacity for unconditional love. Naturally, drugs will no longer be used to raise the consciousness radiation of the sufferer, since the depletion of divine life, soul energy, is responsible for the illness. He or she will be taught how to deliberately, systematically raise the frequencies of vibration of the affected area of the body and how to deal with the personal circumstances causing the psychological discomfort and depletion of soul energy. The patient will also be dramatically assisted by an inflow of divine energy from the hands of those who are true channels of pure spiritual life. With the revitalizing procedures, new perceptions, and control of the ego drives, the physical condition will be quickly cleared up within days, if not immediately. However, on reading these letters, you can begin to effect your own healing. Paramount in your self-treatment must be these instructions regarding the divine reality powering existence, and the right way to tune into it and draw divine life into the healing process. When you begin to draw on the life of the divine reality by means of your spiritual search, asking questions, meditating, reading, and praying, you begin to open your psyche up from its enclosed ego consciousness, earthly dreaming. You draw into mind and emotions the nature of the divine reality itself. All that passes through your mind and emotions is passed into the electromagnetic fields surrounding you. These contribute to your strength. As your electromagnetic fields are energized by the power you draw from divine reality, so is the power passed back into your physical body, and each organ becomes ever more healthy, and any dysfunctions are gradually cleared up. It is vital for you to remember these physical electromagnetic field processes, because the knowledge will both inspire and encourage your daily meditation and attunement with the divine reality. If your sincere search and meditation are directed toward the truth of being and not at some earthly religious forms of belief, or superficial spurious spirituality, or any material objects you believe to possess powers, you will find that, gradually, your own nature is changing, and you begin to be aware of otherness and their needs as you never did before. You become more empathetic, understanding, caring, compassionate, and gentle. In fact, the soul qualities of divine life now begin to control your natural ego impulses for satisfaction and self-defense. I want to warn you that you will have now entered a new and difficult time, an era of conflict between the ego drive, which has habitually insisted on fulfilling its wants, perhaps at the expense of other people, and the psyche soul, which is beginning to realize that love is the law, and the rights of other people have to be balanced equally with the rights of self, the ego. As the psyche absorbs more and more of the soul, divine reality, into its consciousness, the old ego drive begins to release its grasp, and the inner daily conflict becomes even more intense. The psyche soul, now working through mind and heart, discovers it is balancing the needs of other people against the validity of its own needs, and it becomes weighed down and weary of the endless internal struggle of self-questioning and self-judgment. When the psyche is reaching this point of perception, it indicates that the pull of the human consciousness is thinning to such an extent that the soul is now drawing close to and becoming reunified with the divine reality. The soul acknowledges through the medium of the psyche that it loves the divine love, that is, the divine reality, more than it loves anything earthly, and longs to be fully united with its source of being. The psyche finally surrenders the ego consciousness drives to divine reality, and begs that it may be enabled to yield the ego, to go through the death of the selfhood. This happens when people are truly reaching the apex of their spiritual life, and they usually need a spiritual master to guide them through it. This death of the selfhood should never be undertaken as a means of achieving greater spiritual insight. It is highly dangerous and will not succeed in achieving greater spiritual or earthly life. It will be greatly destructive to the psyche and ego before due time. It will hinder the whole process of soul, psyche, ego, physical development. No one should entertain such a thought in order to be more advanced in spiritual perception and truth. Such an act of willpower will be self-defeating, since it is born entirely of the ego drive to be more important spiritually. When this experience of ego mastery takes place at the right time, in the right way, the soul, through the medium of the psyche, is free to a large extent to commune directly with the divine reality, since the continual chatter of the ego consciousness is stilled. The pull of the earth is no longer paramount. Self-centered ambition fades, the desire for personal possession dissolves. Peace reigns in the mind. The soul, now speaking clearly through the psyche, longs to uplift, nourish, contribute to the growth of other souls, educate, uplift, and nurture with understanding and tenderness without any desire for recompense or self-aggrandizement. As the soul is drawn into ever closer contact and attunement with divine reality, its only earthly goal is to treat the neighbor or other people with the same kind of concern and consideration it needs for itself to flourish and be content. Giving becomes as easy as breathing. Eventually, it becomes a privilege to work for and with other people for the promotion of their highest good. This is divine love in action. However, there is no sentiment in divine reality. The intention behind individualization was to enable divine reality itself to experience its own nature of creativity, joy, and personal fulfillment. Therefore, when I was on earth, I drew the lines between giving and receiving quite clearly when I said, "Do unto others what you would have them do to you." This statement was a loving warning that as you sow, so will you reap. It was also a guideline to behavior. If you do unto others what you would like done to yourself, then you can be sure you are acting only from the standpoint of love. If other people do not want what you would like done for you, then you live by trial and error. You have taken a positive step towards fulfilling an act of true love, and if it is rejected, you have given yourself an opportunity to find out what would be more greatly appreciated in the future. In this way do you grow in the act of love. I also said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. This meant that you should have equal concern for your neighbor's comfort as you have for your own. It also means that whatever you wish unto other people, you would be happy to have wished on yourself in like manner. It means that you must think the thoughts about others which you would be happy for them to think about you. It means that your entire consciousness should be directed at caring, concern for others, no matter what they may be doing hurtful against yourself. All human beings are living in a jungle of human desires, goals, frailties, disappointments, anger, and frustration. Out of this war-torn consciousness come many weak and ill-judged responses and actions. Therefore, behold the frailty, forgive the unkindness, and let it go back into the nothingness out of which it came. The only truth and reality in your life is divine consciousness, intelligence, love. Hold fast to this realization at all times. To find the kingdom of heaven in which the soul is in harmony with divine reality, there must come a time in your development when you no longer want to be drawn into the earthly perceptions and consciousness of human beings toward each other. You long to withdraw entirely and focus on spreading your own contact with divine reality to others. Beware that you do not force your spiritual way on others, irrespective of whether or not they are on the spiritual path themselves. At the same time, you must preserve your own serenity by not allowing others to take advantage of your good nature. You must clearly draw your lines of right and wrong, prevent the selfishness of others encroaching on your privacy, which is likely to destroy your peace of mind. To ensure this, there is no need for your ego consciousness to assume dominance again. You can guard your privacy peacefully. You have been given the intelligence to achieve this necessary purpose with the highest degree of love. Remember that the spiritual edifice of consciousness vibrations, which have been constructed out of your contact with divine reality and your daily mode of thought, feeling, and living, should be sacrosanct, and you have to take care not to become entrapped again in the lower vibrations of others' thoughts and reactions. At all times, your highest purpose on earth is to promote the highest earthly and spiritual good of every other living entity, human and lesser, not by descending to the vibratory level of those in need, but by reaching out and offering the wisdom which has brought you into your sanctuary, your holy of holies in mind, emotion, and living conditions, if there is a willingness to listen and accept. Otherwise, hold your peace. Sympathy and compassion should be detached. Empathy will drag you down and embroil your spiritual consciousness vibrations in the human vibrational level. This will possibly create conflicts where you had sincerely only intended to uplift and heal. Avoid this, since it will deplete your energies and defeat your spiritual purposes. Pure love is concerned only with upliftment and spiritual progress, healing, and achievement of the kingdom of heaven. Divine love is a warm, compassionate feeling, primarily charged with the longing to enable the loved one to grow, create, be nourished, and nourish others, to be healed and to heal others, to educate and educate others, to protect and protect others, to fulfill his needs and for him to fulfill the needs of others, all within a clear system of law and order. This is divine love, law, in action. When your highest purpose has become the divine purpose in action, the ego, the nucleus of your individuality, is now controlled by your soul. The ego drive becomes your true defender and the true protector of your personal comfort, but it now works entirely in harmony with the directives of your soul, which draws its nature from divine reality. I repeat, there is no sentiment in divine reality, no removing any boundaries ensuring law and order to suit the demands of the egoist, no weak giving in and yielding to the obstinacy of others. At all times, it must be borne in mind that all people should respect one another. They must respect the rights of others to privacy, safety, peace of mind, and harmony. If differences arise, they can be dealt with mutual respect. The more spiritually evolved you are, the more will you respect the highest and the lowest of social stratas, accounting them to be equal, not in the sight of God as human beings like to say, but within your own spiritualized perception of the fundamental equality of the souls within all beings. Respect and divine love belong together. True love is highly respectful of the beloved. Where there is respect between two people, this frequently leads to the highest form of love. If you have found this letter difficult to accept, remember that the human mind is limited in its understanding of dimensions beyond the earthly plane. Do not let the reasoning of the ego hold you back from your soul's journey. In my next letter, I will develop the theme of divine love and will enlarge on ego self-love, showing you exactly how the magnetic emotions are presently controlling your thoughts, feelings, and lives. I will outline the steps by which they can be overcome and eventually dissolved from your consciousness. My purpose is to lead you along the path of self-discovery and spiritual advancement, that you may enter immediately into light, not only when you pass on into the next dimension of existence, but also while you are on earth. At the moment, you are living a shadowy, burdened existence, instead of consciously living within and entering into divine consciousness and allowing it to permeate and gladden your thinking and your life experiences. Know that my Christ consciousness is with you always, and you can have immediate access to me when you call. Let this be a comfort to you, but not a crutch. I am but your gateway to your own illumination and your own ascent into Christ consciousness yourself.